grapeseed oil, which is a really fascinating one because it really wasn't something that was in the human diet until, as you were saying, that winemakers realized, hey, like we're leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
All this grapeseed, turn this shit into oil.
Yeah. So again, some industrious entrepreneur saw that as a byproduct of winemaking, you're losing out on all these grape seeds, right? And grape seeds are rich in oil, like all seeds are, right? And so if you can extract the oil and get rid of the noxious like aromas and flavors, then you've got something that you can sell, right? For I think it's like $500 or $600 million a year business, if not more, these days. So grapeseed oil, like any of these grain and seed oils, like corn oil, canola oil, which comes from the rapeseed plant, soybean oil, they're referred to sometimes within the food industry as RBD oils, refined, bleached, and deodorized oils. Yeah. Because they have like these again these harsh bitter flavors, right? Some of them like the rapeseed contain toxins like erucic acid.
They might want to change the name of that seed.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't it seem like a rude way?
Yeah.
You know, you want to murder fruit? No. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, why is it rapeseed?
Exactly.
Okay, so what's the negative effect of things like I would imagine that in the human diet, consuming an exorbitant amount of this kind of grapeseed oil is really not even possible. Like, how many grapes would you have to eat to get with the seeds to get the kind of the amount that you would get from a tablespoon of like grapeseed oil?
Yeah, I mean, humans, we don't even like generally, we're averse to seeds for a reason. I mean, if you've ever tried to chew into a grape seed, it's bitter, right? You spit it out. So that's why these oils didn't exist in the human food supply before 100 years ago. We hadn't had the chemistry labs, the erector sets required to extract these oils and then run them through all these myriad processes to make them to some degree palatable and able to be utilized by the food industry. They used to be used as engine, lubricant and things like that.
That's industrialized seed oils have always been used as lubricants for engines.
Yeah.
So when did they start using them? What is this, Jamie? What'd you pull up there? Okay, to produce 237 milliliters, 8-ounce fluid bottle of grapeseed oil, 1 ton of grapes is required. So 2,000 pounds of grapes to get 8 ounces of grapeseed oil. The finished oil is light yellowish green in color. Holy shit.
That's insane.
Well, there you go. So if you're cooking in grapeseed oil, you're essentially, it's a crime against nature.
Yeah, it's the most unnatural thing. And, people listening to this might say, appeal to nature fallacy. What's natural isn't always, like arsenic is natural.
True.
But I think that like a platitude like that isn't very helpful, right, in the modern world.
So what are the negative effects of things like industrialized seed oils?
Yeah. So, for one, they all undergo that step called the deodorization step, which is the step that removes the noxious odors and aromas from these oils, makes them palatable, gives the oil, it's basically the food industry's equivalent of the witness protection program, right? Because it takes an oil and it makes it so bland and free of any kind of character, right, that it can be used to roast nuts in, it could be used to make granola bars, it can be used to saute food in a restaurant, it could be used to fry food in, for example. And the problem is, one of the problems with these seed oils is that deodorization step creates a small but significant amount of trans fats. And we know that there's no safe level of trans fat, artificially, man-made trans fat consumption. Their most recognizable form was in partially hydrogenated vegetable oils, which were outlawed, right, 5-6 years ago, something like that. But you can still find man-made trans fats on the market in the form of these grain and seed oils. Now, the dose likely makes the poison, as it does with most things, but your average American today is over-consuming these oils. Well, they didn't exist, again, in the human food supply prior to a century ago, and their use has increased anywhere between 250 and 1,000%, 1,000% for soybean oil, in particular polyunsaturated fats. We know that your average American is under-consuming vitamin E. Like 10% of Americans consume adequate vitamin E. So as our intake of these polyunsaturated grain and seed oils increases, our need for vitamin C increases, we're not consuming adequate vitamin E.
You mean vitamin E?
Vitamin E, yeah.
Yeah, you said C.
Vitamin E. And so we're under-consuming vitamin E. That's going to have consequences, right? Because vitamin E, literally, its role in the body is to protect lipids, right, from oxidizing. And you can look to parts of the world, like in Israel. Are you familiar with the Israeli paradox?
No.
So the Israeli paradox, Israelis do everything right in accordance with what the nutritional and the medical orthodoxy would say to do about nutrition, right? They consume more of these omega-6 dominant grain and seed oils than anyone on the planet. You think that we consume a lot of grain and seed oils here in the United States? They consume 10% more. And they
Why
have...
is that?
I don't know. It could just be that they're more health conscious. So like healthy user bias
Right.
infuses all of these, which we could talk about.